This video is a continuation of my playthrough of Axis Empires, and we are now in the autumn of 1944, and we're starting with the European map, August-September. And at this point in the game, the Axis has lost so many strategic locations in Europe that the victory point total now is down to Axis tied 0. So the Axis hasn't done very well in this game. The Axis strategy is a production directive. They've chosen Type 21 U-boats. And so this card allows Germany to add 4 infantry units to the map during the replacement segment. And then they get to roll on the directive table to see the result of this new type of U-boat, and they do get production success, so they're able to add these U-boats. The German army then launches a counterattack against the Soviet Union at Smolensk, and this goes very well. The Soviets suffer heavy damage, and Smolensk is recaptured by the Axis. There's a historical note on this card. It's a quote from Hitler where he said, "There can be no talk of a let-up in submarine warfare. The Atlantic is my first line of defense in the West." End of quote. Then we go to the Western Allies. They play the historical card Operation Market Garden. So this card allows the United States and Great Britain to add multiple reinforcements into play, and then the Western Allies launch an attack on the map against in the area of the Ardennes, and this causes both sides to suffer heavy losses, but the Allies do advance. Then the Soviet Union reveals their strategy, total war production. They're really going to double down here, and this card allows the Soviet Union to deploy 3 tank units and 12 infantry corps directly to the map. And then the Soviet commander launches attacks along the Dnieper River. And this pushes the Axis back and attrites both sides' forces. Also, the Soviets counterattack at Smolensk, and the city is liberated for a second time. Further, there are some attacks in the north near Leningrad, but these are all repulsed by the Axis. Then we go into September and October of 1944, and the Eastern Front turns to mud. So in this case, it's going to help the Axis with their defenses. The Germans receive a Volkssturm infantry unit as a replacement that they can deploy to the map. And the overall situation, which I apologize, I don't have a picture for this, is that the Germans are in retreat everywhere on the map. The Eastern Front, the Western Front, and even in Italy. The Western Allies are continuing with Market Garden, and they attack the Low Countries, and they end up finally pushing the Axis troops back across the Rhine River. Italy is bogged down completely, as I guess it historically was. And then the Soviet Union makes a few counterattacks, but because of the mud conditions which favor the defender, these attacks are limited in their success. But that brings the autumn of 1944 to a conclusion on the European map. So we'll go over and take a look on the Pacific map. So going back to August and September of 1944, just an overview on what's happening in this game. And remember, I'm playing the 2 games in the action report here together, but they're actually being played separately. And I'm just presenting them together. So in the Daisenso game, the victory points are now Rising Sun plus 0. So that's interesting because that's what it is in the European map. It's, Axis tied 0. So things are going the other direction now very clearly. And the Japanese government reveals their strategy. It's the Shogo Defense Plan. And this card has a quote from the Prime Minister of Japan saying, the military developments in the Pacific Theater are in a state that does not necessarily admit optimism. However, the greatly extended supply lines of the enemy on all fronts are exposed to our attacks. And in this fact, I believe, is to be found our golden opportunity to grasp victory. So that is the Prime Minister of Japan's thoughts on the matter. So this card lets the Japanese player deploy the kamikaze marker, which they put in their strategic warfare box. So that's going to help with that aspect of the game. Then the Japanese government marker is put in the delay box. And I will add that this is just not a good time for the Japanese player to conduct offensive operations. So there are none. The Allies reveal their strategy. It is Operation King. And on this card, there is a quote from General Douglas MacArthur, where he said, "I have returned. By the grace of Almighty God, our forces stand on Philippine soil." End of quote. So this card allows the Allies to roll on the minor country politics table, which I do, and the result is a setback, which is another word for no effect. So the Soviet reveal their strategy. The Soviet Union strategy is demand Tannu-Tuva, and so Tannu-Tuva is annexed, and the Soviets place a detachment in Kaisal-Koto, as shown in the picture here. Then we go to September and October of 1944, and the Japanese commander focuses on building defenses in Japan. Their navy is shot at this point, so they're really limited. They really have to just suck in their gut and take the punch. Meanwhile, the Allies are still doing their Operation King, so this allows them to roll on the minor country politics table, and they get the result of the Philippines. So the Japanese forces in the Philippines are damaged from this event, and then the Allies attack and completely take over Davao and capture that port and that city. And you can see that is one of the green hexagon cities, so that is an important one for the Allies to hold. The Commonwealth, which is not really depicted here in the picture, is operating in the Dutch East Indies, and the Soviets have no moves after their annexation. So that brings the autumn of 1944 to a close in the Pacific as well. So I'd like to thank you for watching, and if you're interested to see what happens late November, December of 1944, stay tuned for the next video.